There's a contest in America where you shove ferrets down your pants and try not to scream. There's another one where you keep your lips frozen to a metal pole until your face goes numb. People enter these things on purpose. For prizes. Sometimes just for a t-shirt. These are 50 of the most unhinged contests Americans have ever participated in. If anything in this video catches you off guard, tap the hype button below. 1. The producers of Fear Factor spent years figuring out new ways to psychologically destroy willing participants for $50,000. One of their most brutal challenges had nothing to do with eating bugs. They strapped a contestant into a barber chair and dumped thousands of live spiders directly onto their head. Thousands. Not a dozen. Not a cup. A waterfall of arachnids crawling across every inch of their face and neck. The challenge wasn't about pain or strength. It was about sitting perfectly still while every survival instinct in your body screamed at you to run. Are we absolutely sure TV executives aren't just serial killers with better dental plans? 2. Some contests aren't won with talent or effort. They're won with pettiness so pure it deserves its own museum. A man in Virginia entered his neighborhood's annual Christmas decoration contest and refused to compete on lights per square foot. Instead, he put up one single, enormous illuminated sign on his lawn with an arrow pointing at his neighbor's house. It read, "I agree, his is better." No inflatable Santa, no light-up reindeer, just one devastating act of sarcastic surrender. The judges loved it. He won. His neighbor, the guy who'd spent 3 weekends on a ladder untangling 10,000 bulbs, probably didn't speak to him until Easter. 3. Paul Hunn holds the Guinness World Record for the loudest burp ever recorded. Over 109 decibels. That's louder than a rock concert, louder than a chainsaw, and this wasn't some accidental talent. The man trained. He perfected a technique for swallowing precise amounts of air to maximize resonance and volume, with the dedication of an Olympic athlete whose event happens to clear rooms. His reward was a framed certificate and the undeniable distinction of being the greatest in the world at something that got you sent to your room as a kid. Somewhere his mother is still not impressed. 4. The World Sauna Championships in Finland drew competitors from dozens of countries. The rules were simple. Sit in a sauna cranked to 230 degrees Fahrenheit while water gets poured onto the stones every 30 seconds. Last one sitting wins. Sounds like a frat house dare, but people took this dead seriously. Literally. In 2010, the final round ended when the Russian finalist suffered fatal burns and organ failure. The other finalist was hospitalized in critical condition. The competition was permanently canceled that year because someone finally realized that cooking humans alive shouldn't be a spectator sport. 5. Ferret legging might be the bravest or the dumbest thing humans have ever invented. The rules are simple. Tie your pants shut at the ankles, drop 2 live ferrets down your trousers, and see who can last the longest. No underwear allowed. That's considered cheating. The world record? Over 5 hours. 5 hours of razor-sharp teeth sprinting laps around your most sensitive real estate. And people volunteer for this. Repeatedly. That's more pain tolerance than sitting through your brother-in-law explaining cryptocurrency at Thanksgiving. And at least the ferrets eventually stop biting. 6. Jerry and Marge Selby were a retired couple from Michigan who didn't just play the lottery, they reverse-engineered it. They found a mathematical loophole in the state's windfall game. When the jackpot hit a certain amount without a winner, prize money rolled down to smaller tiers, dramatically improving the odds. Jerry ran the numbers and realized that buying tickets in bulk at that exact moment made winning practically guaranteed. So they did it. Over and over. They made millions completely legally, while state officials just sat there watching. The IRS got their cut, of course. The IRS always gets their cut. 7. A man in Pennsylvania won a contest in the early 1980s that required him to live inside a tiny container, bolted to the side of a billboard. For 261 days. Nearly 9 months of blistering heat, freezing cold, and the quiet horror of being a human bumper sticker. Meals came up by rope. His bathroom situation is something nobody should think about. And the grand prize for nearly a year of voluntary solitary confinement on a highway? A mobile home and some cash. He lived in a box to win a slightly bigger box, and he still had to pay taxes on it. 8. A radio station in Sacramento ran a water drinking contest called Hold Your Wee for a Wee. Contestants had to chug enormous amounts of water without using the bathroom, all for a $200 gaming console. A woman named Jennifer Strange participated, drank bottle after bottle on air, and died later that day from water intoxication. Her brain swelled. Her body shut down. The station got hit with a $16 million wrongful death lawsuit, and several employees were fired. $16 million. For a contest over a Nintendo Wii. Someone in that radio station pitched this idea in a meeting, and every single person in the room said yes. 9. Every July in Seward, Alaska, people voluntarily sprint up and back down a 3,022-foot mountain called Mount Marathon. There is no trail. It's a near-vertical scramble up loose shale and slick mud, followed by what can only be described as a controlled plummet back to the bottom. Runners come down, bleeding, limping, and coated in dirt. Some tumble off cliffs. Others slide down snowfields at terrifying speed. There's no cash prize at the finish line. People do this purely for the glory of conquering a mountain that is actively, enthusiastically trying to kill them. Alaska doesn't do participation trophies. 10. The Mall of America once hosted a contest where 4 people had to live inside the mall for 3 full weeks. In tiny glass-walled apartments in the main rotunda, completely visible from every angle. Thousands of shoppers would just stop and stare, watching them eat, sleep, brush their teeth, slowly unravel. No privacy. No escape. Just fluorescent lights and strangers tapping on the glass like you're a goldfish at PetSmart. 3 weeks of being a human zoo exhibit, and the grand prize was a car. Hopefully one with tinted windows and a therapist's number programmed into the GPS. 11. In Longview, Texas, a car dealership used to run one of the most sadistic contests in America. The rules were deceptively simple. Put one hand on a brand new Nissan pickup truck and keep it there. Last person touching the truck wins it. That's it. No puzzles, no talent, no strategy. Just stand in the Texas heat, hand glued to a truck, for as long as your body holds out. Contestants got a 5-minute break every hour and 15 minutes every 6 hours. People stood there for days. They hallucinated. They wept. 1 year, it lasted over 77 hours straight. All for a truck worth maybe 20 grand. It got so intense they made a documentary about it. And then someone took their own life after losing. The dealership quietly stopped running it. 12. Back in the 90s, a radio station asked listeners one question. What's the most degrading thing you'll do for concert tickets? People called in with all kinds of nonsense, but one man sealed it. He walked into the studio, sat down in a chair, and let the morning DJs shave his head and both eyebrows live on air. Clean gone. He walked out with 2 front-row tickets and the face of a man who'd just entered witness protection. The real challenge wasn't the shave. It was sitting across from his boss the next morning and explaining that his new look was a deliberate lifestyle choice motivated by his deep love of music. 13. Some American communities have taken a Thanksgiving staple and turned it into a deeply undignified sport. Frozen turkey bowling. You take a rock-solid, ice-cold turkey straight out of a deep freezer and hurl it across a polished floor toward a set of bowling pins. Most throws veer wildly off course. Some turkeys just roll to a sad, defeated stop halfway down the lane. It's slippery, messy, and absolutely impossible to do with any dignity. The prize is usually a gift card to the same grocery store the turkey came from, which feels less like winning and more like the store getting its inventory back. 14. Mountain Dew. Once let the internet name a new soda flavor through an open public poll. They expected fun, quirky suggestions. The top voted entries included Hitler did nothing wrong and diabetes. The campaign spiraled into pure chaos within hours, and the company killed the whole thing so fast you'd think someone pulled a fire alarm. Marketing departments everywhere printed out the story and taped it to their walls as a reminder. The lesson was simple, eternal, and apparently still needs repeating. Never give the general public naming rights. They will use it as a weapon, every single time. 15. The Iowa State Fair hosts an annual husband calling contest, where women step up to a microphone and unleash the most powerful, creative, and ear-splitting screams they can muster to summon their imaginary husbands from somewhere deep in a cornfield. Judges rate them on volume, clarity, and originality. Some go operatic. Others go full drill sergeant. A few sound like they're summoning something that should stay buried. The event is oddly competitive, strangely terrifying, and 100% Iowa. If your name happens to be the one being screamed, just know, there is no safe distance. 16. Winning a fishing tournament is supposed to be simple. Catch the biggest fish, done. But two guys in Ohio saw that $30,000 prize and decided catching actual fish was too much work. They stuffed their walleyes with lead weights and extra fillets to inflate the weight. Worked great, for about 90 seconds. The tournament director, suspicious of fish that weighed more than a toddler, sliced one open on stage in front of a crowd. Lead weights rolled across the table. The crowd lost its mind. In Ohio, stuffing a walleye with lead isn't just cheating, it's basically treason. Those two went from trophies to handcuffs faster than you can gut a base. 17. The Scripps National Spelling Bee is America's intellectual gladiator arena. Except the gladiators are 12 and their weapon is vocabulary. In 2019, the competition hit an unprecedented wall. The organizers ran out of words hard enough to stump the finalists. Round after round, these kids nailed everything. They eventually had to declare 8 co-champions because the dictionary literally couldn't beat them. 8 tiny geniuses stood on stage holding trophies, having collectively defeated the English language. Meanwhile, most of us still pause before spelling necessary. 18. A Hooters waitress crushed a sales contest after management promised the winner a brand new Toyota. She outsold everyone for weeks. When she went to collect, they blindfolded her, walked her to the parking lot, and presented her with a Toyota. The Star Wars doll. Management thought they were hilarious. She thought they were getting sued. The court agreed with her, and the franchise had to pay out enough for her to buy any real Toyota she wanted. Somewhere in legal history, this case sits as ironclad proof that puns should never appear in employment agreements. 19. For decades in America, pole sitting was an actual competitive craze. Climb to a tiny platform on top of a flagpole and sit there for as long as possible. Days, sometimes weeks. Men would camp out up there eating meals hoisted in buckets, sleeping upright, waving at strangers below like sad, sunburned royalty. They became minor local celebrities for doing absolutely nothing, just doing it in public and very high up. The prizes varied wildly, sometimes a car, sometimes just applause. But the one thing every pole sitter guaranteed himself was a backside that would file its own workers' comp claim. 20. In 2016, a New York City contest offered one lucky winner the chance to sit across from performance artist Marina Abramovich in a one-on-one staring contest. No money, no trophy. Just you, a legend, and prolonged, silent, deeply uncomfortable eye contact. People waited hours for this. Some cried during the experience. Others couldn't last 30 seconds. It's probably the only competition in history where the grand prize is a woman staring into your soul until you emotionally collapse. And thousands of people lined up and begged for it. Cheaper than therapy, at least. 21. Every year on the shores of Easdale Island in Scotland, grown adults gather for the World Stone Skimming Championship. Competitors bring their own hand-selected rocks. They fine-tune their wrist technique. There are heated debates about stone flatness. There's trash talk, rivalries spanning decades, and the payoff for all of this intensity? A tiny trophy and the right to call yourself the best stone skipper alive. No cash, no endorsement deals. Just a sore shoulder and the childhood memory of a simpler time, sharpened into an international grudge match. 22. On The Price is Right, a contestant once nailed the exact dollar amount of the showcase showdown, something so rare it almost never happens. Drew Carey was visibly suspicious and basically accused the guy on camera. But the truth was way more terrifying. The man's wife had spent years recording the show, cataloging every item, memorizing every price. She had the recall of an IRS auditor going through your tax returns. She coached him before the taping like a drill sergeant before deployment. It wasn't luck. It wasn't fraud. It was marriage operating at peak efficiency. 23. There's an entire global competition dedicated to building the most impressively useless machines ever conceived. These aren't broken gadgets. They're meticulously engineered devices designed to do one simple task in the dumbest way imaginable. A $300 contraption that flips a switch just to turn itself off. A Rube Goldberg nightmare that spends 4 minutes pouring a single glass of water. No prize money, no sponsorship, just deep admiration from fellow enthusiasts who appreciate the beauty of wasting months of engineering talent to do what your index finger handles in half a second. 24. The Pillsbury Bake-Off sounds like your grandmother's recipe swap. It is not. This is a culinary war zone with a $1 million grand prize. Contestants spend years developing a single casserole or cookie, guarding their recipes with the paranoia of someone hiding assets during a divorce. And like any high-stakes competition, it has its scandals. One winner got disqualified after her original recipe turned out to be a near-exact copy from a published cookbook. It sent shockwaves through competitive home cooking, which is apparently a world that exists, has scandals, and takes them very, very personally. 25. For over a decade, millions of Americans genuinely believed they had a shot at winning the McDonald's Monopoly game. Peel the sticker, match the set, win big. Except they never had a chance. An ex-cop named Jerome Jacobson, who ran security for the company printing the game pieces, was stealing every single high-value winner and funneling them through a network of fake claimants. $24 million, gone, right under McDonald's nose. The whole operation ran for years before the FBI finally shut it down. So if you ever wondered why you never won that $1 million, it wasn't bad luck. The game was rigged before you even opened your Big Mac. 26. Netflix once posted a flat $1 million bounty for any team that could improve their movie recommendation algorithm by just 10%. It kicked off a 3-year global war among data scientists, all fighting over a marginal improvement in how Netflix guesses whether you'll like a rom-com. The final showdown came down to minutes. The winning team submitted their solution just 20 minutes before a rival group uploaded one that was equally effective. $1 million, decided by a 20-minute gap in a war fought entirely with code and spreadsheets. Somewhere, a mathematician is still losing sleep over that upload speed. 27. How much do you love breakfast? Enough to make it a permanent part of your body? A guy from Illinois entered a contest for free Denny's Grand Slams for life, and his strategy was bold. He got the Denny's logo tattooed on his arm. Not a small, subtle nod. A full-color, impossible-to-miss tribute to cheap eggs and rubbery pancakes. He won. And now, for the rest of his life, every doctor's appointment, every beach trip, every first date involves explaining why he has a chain restaurant logo on his bicep. His dermatologist probably has questions. His cardiologist definitely does. 28. You think you know how to game a corporate promotion? A man won a year's supply of free Chipotle burritos in 2011. One per day for 365 days. Most people would just enjoy the lunch. This guy saw a loophole. The rules said 1 burrito per day. They said nothing about size or extras. So every single day for a year, he ordered his free burrito with double meat, double rice, double guacamole, plus extra tortillas on the side. He turned each free meal into 2 massive ones, effectively doubling his prize through sheer fine print exploitation. Chipotle's lawyers probably had a very long meeting after that. 29. In the 1980s, a man named James Stern realized something most people never would. It was statistically cheaper to fly across the country entering radio contests than to sit at home hoping. He built a system for tracking which stations were giving away high-value prizes, mapped out travel routes, and turned contest entering into a full-time career. The results were absurd. He once won a brand new Porsche from one station, and then won another Porsche from a different station the next day. 2 Porsches in 48 hours. Meanwhile, the rest of us can't even win a gas station scratch-off. 30. After all these stories of pain, genius, and borderline insanity, what's actually the most common contest in America? The office raffle. Every day, in break rooms across the country, millions of adults drop their name into a fishbowl for the ultimate prize. A gift basket wrapped in crinkly cellophane, containing a branded coffee mug, some off-brand trail mix, and crackers that expired in February. And when Karen from accounting pulls that winning name, the room erupts. People clap. Someone says, "Lucky," without a shred of irony. We put people on the moon, and this is still the highlight of our work week. 31. Every year, digital artists from around the world compete in a contest where the goal is to create the ugliest, most visually offensive image possible. Welcome to the digital landfill. Entries look like a graphic design textbook having a seizure. Clashing neon gradients, cursed clip art, Comic Sans layered over papyrus, color combinations that violate the Geneva Convention. There's no prize money, no trophy. Just the eternal right to say you're the absolute best at making something that physically hurts to look at. It's the Academy Awards of aesthetic suffering, and the red carpet is an eyesore on purpose. 32. Every year, a duct tape company offers the Stuck at Prom Scholarship. The challenge: build your entire prom outfit out of nothing but duct tape. Dresses, tuxedos, vests, ties, corsages, all of it. Some students spend hundreds of hours and dozens of rolls creating genuinely stunning wearable art. Full ball gowns, 3-piece suits, all made from a material originally designed to fix leaky plumbing. The prize is $10,000 toward college tuition, which means these kids are literally paying for their education one sticky strip at a time. Try explaining that on a scholarship application. 33. In the early 90s, Hoover in the United Kingdom ran a promotion so generous it nearly killed the company. Buy 100 pounds worth of vacuum products, get 2 free round-trip flights to America. They assumed nobody would bother. They assumed wrong. People started buying 3-4 vacuums at a time just to claim the flights. Hundreds of thousands of applicants flooded in. Hoover hemorrhaged nearly 50 million pounds trying to honor the deal. It's the gold standard of corporate self-destruction. A promotion so successful it almost bankrupted the company that ran it. Somebody in that marketing department definitely updated their resume. 34. Forget NASCAR. States like Michigan and Washington have birthed a far more essential motorsport: outhouse racing. Teams build a fully decorated wooden outhouse, mount it on skis, and shove it down a snowy hill while one brave volunteer sits inside. These aren't lazy efforts either. Custom paint jobs, full costumes, names like the Royal Flush. Teams sprint alongside their creation, pushing it toward the finish line while the passenger holds on and reconsiders their life choices. The prize is a golden toilet seat trophy, which, let's be honest, has more personality than most corporate awards sitting on your boss's shelf right now. 35. Imagine winning a contest where the prize is a 6-figure salary and your job title is Chief Funster. An Australian tourism board offered exactly that. Get paid to travel the country, attend parties, explore beaches, and document every second. Sounds like a dream until you read the fine print. Every dinner, every sunset, every candid moment was part of a calculated global marketing campaign. Your spontaneity was scripted. Your fun belonged to a PR department. You were essentially a theme park mascot with a passport, a better dental plan, and zero permission to have a bad day. 36. The US Air Guitar Championships are not a joke. Well, they are a joke. But they're a very serious one. Competitors get judged on technical merit, stage presence, and something called airness, the elusive quality of transcending imitation and channeling pure, invisible rock energy. People train for months. Some have coaches. There are regional qualifiers. And this whole elaborate system builds toward a climactic final where adults shred imaginary guitars in front of screaming crowds, all for a trophy and a flight to the World Championships in Finland. World Championships. For an instrument that does not exist, humanity is undefeated. 37. In the late 1950s, a man calling himself Digger Odell turned being buried alive into a career. He'd climb into a custom coffin, get lowered into the ground, and stay there for days, sometimes weeks. He had tubes for air and food, and a phone line running underground so he could call radio stations live from 6 feet below. He once stayed buried for over 100 days. While you're commuting 2 hours a day to a job you hate, this man was lying in a box underground, doing radio interviews, becoming a local celebrity. He built an entire career on lying down, literally. 38. A TV station in the 90s challenged people to sit in a bathtub full of baked beans for as long as possible. Not warm, freshly cooked beans, lukewarm, gelatinous, slowly congealing baked beans. The winner was a college student who lasted over 100 hours. More than 4 days submerged in bean sludge. His skin pruned into something unrecognizable. The smell became a biohazard, and by hour 80, those beans had the consistency of wet cement. His prize was a new car, which he presumably drove directly to a dermatologist, then a psychiatrist, then as far from a can of beans as geographically possible. 39. Every year, a Midwestern town hosts what might be the bravest culinary event in America: the Creamed Mystery Bake-Off. This is an unapologetic celebration of questionable slow cooker cuisine, judged on texture, smell, and something ominously called emotional impact. Past entries have included dishes that only qualify as food in the loosest legal sense. One year, a contestant submitted a tuna jello pie topped with cold tater tots. It won Best in Show. The county health inspector was reportedly unavailable for comment, possibly because he was still recovering. 40. In 2002, Jack Whitaker, a West Virginia construction company owner, hit a $315 million Powerball jackpot. At the time, the largest single-ticket win in American history. What followed was a masterclass in spectacular collapse. $500,000 in cash stolen from his car, which was parked at a strip club. Lawsuits piling up from every direction. His granddaughter, whom he adored, dead under tragic circumstances. Within a few years, reportedly broke. $315 million, and it destroyed him. Sometimes the universe hands you everything you ever wanted just to watch what happens next. 41. During the Great Depression, dance marathons became America's most desperate form of entertainment. Couples had to keep moving on a dance floor for weeks, sometimes months, without stopping, competing for cash prizes that could equal a year's salary. They shuffled, swayed, and collapsed into each other, barely conscious, while paying audiences watched them suffer. Promoters made fortunes. Contestants broke down physically and mentally. One 27-year-old man named Homer Morehouse dropped dead mid-marathon in 1923, and cities started banning the events outright. The world record eventually hit 3,180 hours. That's over 5 months of continuous movement. The prize money was real, but the cost was your body, your mind, and occasionally your life. 42. A Florida amusement park once ran an endurance contest called Lips of Steel. The premise? Press your lips against a frozen metal pole and hold them there as long as possible. Hours passed, lips went numb, then blue. Park visitors strolled by, laughing, taking photos like it was a live exhibit about regret. The winner walked away with frostbite, a season pass, and a commemorative plaque mounted directly on the pole they nearly lost their face to. Only in Florida can you volunteer to freeze your mouth to a metal rod in 90-degree heat and call it a Saturday. 43. In the 1970s, JCPenney ran a peel-off button promotion where certain codes won prizes, including some worth $500. Straightforward enough, until a catastrophic printing error produced millions of winning buttons instead of a few hundred. Customers flooded stores, waving their winners, and JCPenney had no legal choice but to honor every single one. A cute promotional gimmick became a corporate financial disaster overnight. Somewhere in their headquarters, an executive stared at a spreadsheet, did the math, and quietly started updating their resume. When everyone wins, the company loses. Badly. 44. During the dot-com bubble, a startup held a contest where the grand prize was a stake in the company. The winner didn't get cash, he got stock options. For a few glorious weeks, he was a paper millionaire. He could look at his account and see a number with 6 zeros after it. Then the bubble burst. The company evaporated. His prize became worth less than the email that told him he'd won it. He spent a few beautiful weeks as a millionaire who couldn't buy anything, then an eternity as a guy with a really good story and absolutely nothing to show for it. 45. There's a competitive event called creative grooming where professional dog groomers transform poodles into living sculptures. Not a cute trim and a bow. Full-on dye jobs and sculpting to make the dog look like a completely different animal, a cartoon character, or an entire fantasy landscape. One poodle walks in looking normal and walks out looking like a velociraptor. The dog has no idea what's happening. The audience has no idea how to feel. And the groomer takes home a trophy for turning a beloved family pet into something its own owner wouldn't recognize in a lineup. 46. A Florida man in the 90s won a radio contest by being the first person to legally marry a complete stranger on air. They had never met, never spoken, saw each other for the first time at the altar, exchanged vows before a commercial break, and immediately filed for an annulment after collecting the prize money. The whole thing lasted roughly the length of a sitcom episode and had about the same emotional depth. It was a flawless execution of a contest's rules, technically legal, deeply cynical, and somehow still not the weirdest thing to happen on Florida radio that week. 47. Welcome to competitive spam carving, an actual event at state fairs across America. Artists take a cold, wobbly, gelatinous block of canned mystery meat and sculpt it into something that almost resembles art. Past entries include spam-based animals, tiny historical figures, and abstract creations that raise more questions than they answer. Judges evaluate on creativity, detail, and the ability to maintain structural integrity while your medium slowly surrenders to gravity. Your hands smell like a suspicious deli for days afterward. But a blue ribbon for a meat sculpture? That goes on the mantelpiece, right next to your divorce papers. 48. Restaurants all across America host ghost pepper challenges, and the format never changes. Eat something drenched in one of the hottest substances known to mankind. Survive. Don't cry too visibly. The reward for voluntarily subjecting your digestive system to what is essentially a chemical weapons test? A free t-shirt and your photo on a wall of flame next to dozens of other sweaty, red-faced monuments to poor judgment. You're trading an hour of real, physical agony for a cotton souvenir and a story nobody asked to hear twice. And yet, every weekend, a new brave soul sits down and orders it. 49. There's an entire competition for people who can perfectly imitate bird sounds using nothing but their mouths. The National Wild Turkey Federation hosts a calling contest where grown men and women stand before judges and produce disturbingly accurate gobbling, clucking, and purring sounds. Some competitors have spent decades perfecting their turkey impression. The judges, apparently the world's foremost authorities on turkey audio fidelity, score each performance with absolute seriousness. It's a celebration of a skill that's genuinely impressive and completely, magnificently useless outside of one room, in one building, one weekend a year. 50. In Florida, because where else, a bug-eating contest dared people to devour live cockroaches for cash. Not small, polite insects. Palm-sized monsters that crunched like potato chips when bitten. Dozens competed. One man, determined to win, ate so many so fast that he collapsed shortly after and died, possibly from choking or an allergic reaction. The contest was shut down, and the world gained yet another data point confirming that the words Florida and contest should never appear in the same sentence without a liability waiver and a paramedic on standby. 50 contests. Ferrets in pants, spiders on faces, beans in bathtubs, and at least 2 people who didn't survive the experience. Americans are a different breed. Now, I need you to settle something in the comments. Which one of these would you actually enter? Not which one sounds fun. Which one would you genuinely sign up for, knowing everything you just heard? Drop your number below, and if you haven't hit that hype button yet, now's the time. 3 per week, and this video's not going to promote itself. Subscribe if you're coming back. We've got 50 more stories just as unhinged, ready to go.